Yo, what is up guys? Tech Raid here, and today we're back for another video guys, and today we're gonna be reacting to the Verge's shitty PC build guide. So this is a re-upload because they deleted it because of this bastard who can't fucking build a PC right. I know this is late, but I want people to know that how not to build a PC. I feel like it's pretty important. Since I don't have all my PC parts and I'm not rich as fuck, I can't break a computer or something like that to show you how to not do it. So I look at this video because I'm poor. Alright, so that's enough talking. Let's get started.
So a few years ago, TC, or Managing Editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So let's build a new one. You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000.
So, first of all, you can build a computer that can pretty much play most games for around like $600 to $800. Personally, my build is $500 that I'm gonna build. Video coming soon. I'm sorry. So yeah, you can build a computer for around $600 to $800, and it will play most games. But if you wanna be stunting, like you can build it for like $1,000, but this dude is going for $2,000. So he's gonna play. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. Like it does the same thing. Basically, the only difference is like editing, 3D rendering, and stuff like that. So yeah, back to the video.
PC like this is going to be able to play most games at all tier settings. So what do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table. Preferably not
Oh, I'm sorry. He said, preferably, you need a table. Oh man, you need a table.
metal. If it's going to be metal, have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator, an Allen wrench, some tweezers.
Wait, what the fuck? I mean, like thermal paste spreader, something like that. That's alright, but Allen wrench? I seen some time-lapse builds, like, sometimes you need it, but most of the time, you only need a Phillips head screwdriver. That's pretty much the only thing you need to build a PC, that and the parts.
To tighten up the wires, a Swiss Army knife.
Wait, what the fuck? Did he call those tweezers? Those are zip ties. Those are zip ties. Why did they let this get uploaded? Like, this wasn't uploaded on April Fool's Day. Why?
Which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it.
Wait, I'm sorry for pausing it so goddamn much, but did he say a Swiss Army knife? Sorry, that's my Discord notifications. Did he say a Swiss Army knife that may or may not have a Phillips head screwdriver in it? Just get a fucking screwdriver, man.
And last but not least, an anti-static bracelet, which is to protect.
That's a rubber. That's a rubber bracelet. That's not an anti-static wrist strap. Anti-static wrist strap. It's like a Velcro wrist strap, and then there's like a little thing on the end that you clamp to something metal, and it will ESD protection, so there's no static. But that's a rubber wrist strap. That's a rubber wristband. You know those rubber wristbands if you go to like a church event. If you go to church events or something like that, like they give you like a wristband, like for something like that. Something like that. I'm just gonna unpause it.
You and the parts. These are the parts you're gonna need, but more importantly, before we get there, we need to understand what these parts are doing and how they interact with one another. To better understand the parts that make up a desktop, let's try to understand them individually. The processor is like the computer's brain, a base of calculations that control everything the computer does. The motherboard is like the foundation, serving as a main structure for all other parts to be added to. It also allows the other parts to communicate with one another, which also makes it kind of like a nervous system. Graphics cards are responsible for rendering and processing visuals into what you see on screen. Our PC's power supply is of course channeling electricity, in that it adjusts and provides the right amount of energy to keep it running. Last but not least, RAM, or random access memory, and your hard drive are good examples of short-term and long-term memory, respectively. If you want to better understand what kind of computer to build, then first figure out what you want to use it for. A gamer might care more about a graphics card than, say, a video editor who might want extra RAM to assist with editing large files. If you're building a budget build for video streaming, say under $1,000, you want to focus on parts, like a Core i5 or Core i3 processor, that require less energy. They'll be less powerful, but then you'll be able to scale back the cost of several other parts. And if you need help choosing the right parts for your build, there are sites like PCPartPicker.com that help show presets for which parts fit together, which sort of part conflicts you might have, and where to find deals on new parts. We have a lot of boxes and a lot of PC parts.
Alright, so I want to know how he explained that so goddamn beautifully. Like, that was beautiful. Like, that was perfect. Like, I don't even need to do this video anymore. Like, that's exactly what you do. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. You actually thought this was the end? No, this dude does way more fuck-ups. Alright, so yeah, so he explained that perfectly. Like, I don't even have to talk about that. It just explains itself. Like, I just want to know how he can explain it so perfectly, but can't just put it together. Like, for real, dude. If you learn that much shit, you didn't have time to learn how to build the computer. Oh, man.
So it's best if you unbox them, isolate the parts that you really need, place items into the case, and make sure that they all fit, and then start working. And now we're really going to start building by adding the motherboard in. Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them, and screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack.
Wait, did he just say screw in with confidence? And in most builds, you usually put in the CPU first, and the CPU, RAM, and if you have like a M.2 SSD, usually you would put that in first. But that's just personal. That's sometimes personal preference, and sometimes being helpful, because I don't know if it's that case scenario for him, but usually you would put that stuff in first.
The board. I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard for two main reasons. One, it has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and also it has support for NVMe SSDs, meaning you can get really fast SSDs that are really easy to install. Pay close attention to the brace that goes at the back.
Did he just call that a brace? It's for if you didn't know, it's called an I/O shield. It basically shields the I/O on the motherboard, like the USB ports and the Ethernet ports and stuff like that. The audio jacks. Yeah, stuff like that.
Back of the computer, you always have to make sure that you really hammer it in, because there's no screw. It really just has to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. And this is very important, because otherwise you can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just going to start installing all 8 screws. So next we're going to install the RAM on the
Alright, I just wanted to say this. Some cases don't have pre-installed standoffs, so sometimes you would need to place them yourself, or you need to rearrange them to fit your motherboard type. So I just wanted to say that, so if there's some stupid people who actually go off this build guide.
Motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for two main reasons. One, it has LEDs and we do like lights in our gaming desktops. Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's
RGB RAM, 50% more speeds.
2666 megahertz, I believe, so it's pretty fast, and this motherboard
Sorry for the earring, by the way, but 2666 megahertz isn't that fast. It's really not that fast. Personally, I have it in my build for budget reasons, but this is a $2,000 build. You gotta at least have like 3,000 to 3,200 megahertz. Like, it doesn't really benefit for Intel CPUs, which I'm guessing he's having, which I'm guessing he uses. It usually benefits a Ryzen, but you still should have faster memory for the price range.
supports that speed, which is most important. Open the slots first, and just aligning the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end, and just lining that up with the logo. So once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold connectors on the side anymore, that's when you know the RAM is in. Step 3, we're going to install the
Wait. Look down at the... Look down right there. Look down at the PC. The RAM slots are in the wrong place. So basically, the RAM slots have to be in two different areas. Basically, they have to be in a slot, one slot above. And, that's not right. It's because you need to, because that motherboard supports dual channel, which is very helpful. It's pretty helpful. So yeah, there's usually like something that says A1 and B1 and A2 and B2. Usually it would be either A1, you put one stick in A1 and one stick in B1, or one stick in B2 and one stick in B1. No, one stick in B1 and one stick in B2. So yeah, that supports dual channel, and he's not having that advantage.
hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD. I chose this format of solid-state drive so that I could input it into the motherboard without having to worry about extra wires or putting it in a separate part of the case and just getting really messy. This is from Kingston, and it's 480 gigabytes, so it's not a lot, but you can always upgrade this and swap it out, and it's only held down by one screw and the latch, so it's really simple and really straightforward. Speed for gaming is important when it comes to a hard drive. You want files to write quickly, and you want games to load quickly, so that's why it's best if you use an
I'm just surprised that he's actually using the Swiss Army knife.
SSD. Okay, so step 4, we're going to install the graphics card. I chose PNY's GTX 1080, which is overclocked, and so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the...
Usually, you would put the power supply in before you do the graphics card. Usually the graphics card is at the end. But as I was saying before, personal preference and stuff like that. But usually it would be helpful to do the power supply first, so you can organize all the cables and stuff like that, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to do pretty good anyways.
Gold connectors, and you're going to line this bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to...
Oh, no, you hear what he said? He said which lane you put the graphics card in is pertaining to what you put in the system. That is not true. That's not true, because usually the top PCIe lane is PCIe times 16, which uses the card's full potential. But usually the one below that is PCIe times 8. So yeah, that would use half. If I'm right, that would use half of that. Basically, it would not use the card's full potential. So that's a no-no. Put the card at the top. Put the card at the first lane. Okay, just do that.
I'm gonna pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it. I just think it looks nice. Click down.
He thinks the SSD looks nice. That's why he's not putting it at the top. God damn it.
Take your remaining brackets and just put them in the spots that you haven't used. You don't have to screw the...
I'm just realizing that he took out all the brackets. Don't do that. Only take out the brackets that you're using. It will be a pain in the ass probably to do that all together again.
These in, they get bolted down by the back end bracket. And your GPU is installed. Power supply time. I chose Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you
It's not called a brick, it's a power supply.
Line it with these little insulating pads so that the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest.
Alright, so those aren't insulating pads. Those are rubber pads that help it not to vibrate the PC while the fan is spinning. And it won't short circuit anything. It won't short circuit anything. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to go into specific details, but it just won't. Alright? It just won't. Those rubber pads help it from not vibrating the computer. Alright?
The system. So just take it in, slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back.
Alright, I thought I was gonna stop. I'm pausing it so goddamn much. But this, no, you turn the power supply the other way. So the fan is not fucking touching the wall. I mean, the back of the motherboard tray. So, yeah, that would just suffocate it. And then, on the long term, it would eventually die. So don't do that. It will overheat because the fan is just blowing air back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not cooling anything. So yeah.
And make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the
No, don't make sure it's right up against the frame. Just don't.
Hard screws and you tighten and screw in. So next step, we're going to install the CPU core. In this case, it's going to go on the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose.
Usually, you just called it a fucking hose. Usually, you would put on. You would put on the block. You put on the block first. You would put on the block first. You put on the CPU block first before you put in the case, cause you have to reach the back of the motherboard to use the bracket. So yeah, if your case doesn't have like a thing for the back of it, you're out of luck. Like, don't do that. Don't.
Just hang out for a little while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Always be sure to try to place it in the system first.
Wait, he hasn't even installed the processor first. He hasn't even put in the processor first. That is literally the first step you do in a PC build. No, do that first. Do that first, please. He is actually doing it in reverse. He is actually putting the radiator on first before you Oh my god, I'm actually losing brain cells from this.
Just before you install it, because you can see it takes up a lot of space. But in this case, no pun intended, it fits in perfectly, and we're gonna start screwing it in. And so there's nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws because they go through the entire frame of the cooler.
Oh, no, 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 no. Don't do this. It will break the radiator and you will have leaks. Those screws are meant to go through the fan and the radiator. That's why they're so long. Now he's gonna break the radiator, and it's not gonna be good. And it's a no, 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 no. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Don't. I said this so many times. You should already understand. Don't put the fans. Screw the fans in with it. With the screw, put the fans in. All right.
And they take forever. So next up, cables. Every power supply is going to come with a big bag of Velcro cable.
No, every power supply isn't gonna come in. The cables aren't gonna come in a bag because every power supply isn't modular. See, modular power supplies, they have the cables not plugged in, not with the power supply. See, because non-modular, it has the cables already there. So modular power supplies are better for cable management because you don't have the extra cables laying around. So yeah, and there's also semi-modular that you can put in some cables and not all the others. Yeah.
It's kind of daunting at first, so you always have to find the ones that are going to fit. In this case, you need to match those cables with the correct descriptions on the power supply. Next step is we're connecting the power supply to the motherboard with a 24-pin cable. We're just matching that cable from the motherboard, threading it through the back, and attaching the 24-pin header to the power supply so that we can have one of the connections complete. The next few additions will be for the GPU, for any specific ports that the case has, for any lighting that the case has, the CPU cooler.
No, 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 no. Look at that cable. Oh my god. I was about to say a word that I cannot say on YouTube. You actual person that is dummy dumb. You can actually go commit despacito. Like, for real. Look at that cable. He actually ran it through the grommet too. Like, you pull it all the way back. You pull it all the way fucking back. You don't do this. Cable management is actually really important because the cooling in your system with all those cables around will not be good. No bueno.
Anything else, really. We're installing the CPU. The heart.
Oh my god, he's only doing it now. I just realized this is a sponsored video. That's Capital One. That's a fucking bank. That's presented by Capital One. Where we sponsored these channels who build shitty PCs. Capital One. We buy the parts and you make them shitty. Like, for real. This is sponsored. And he's just installing the CPU now. He's only doing it now. That's the first step.
Of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it. So to do this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they put on the motherboard. We're just going to take this little plastic part out. We'll just toss that out of here.
No, you don't toss it out, because if the motherboard goes doo-doo, you need that, because it's a part of the return policy. You need that, alright? So keep that, just like the brackets on the AMD motherboards. Keep the brackets. I lost my screws, but keep the brackets.
And now we have an exposed CPU holder, or rather slot, on the motherboard. and we're going to use the CPU applicator.
No, that's not an applicator. You don't use that. Don't. I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't. It's not a CPU applicator. I'm not even sure what the fuck that is. It is not a CPU applicator, okay? You just gotta drop it in, okay? Don't touch the contacts. I mean, like, you could touch them a little, but don't. Alright? Don't touch the socket either. Alright? Just drop it in. Drop it into the according place where the golden arrow is, alright? Alright? Just don't do that. Everything he fucking does, just don't do it. The only thing you should listen to on here is his beautiful explanation of what the parts do, alright? That's the only thing you should do.
This is a special little part that not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS.
No, he pushed down the pads with the fucking thermal paste applicator. Like, you don't even need that shit, but they fucking, oh my god, that's actually, oh my, just don't.
Definitely does have. It's called a CPU installation tool. It makes it really useful if you want to install a Core i7 hexa-core CPU. Yeah, we've got one, and it's an 8th generation chip, and it's...
Why is he talking about, like, oh, I got the CPU, it's so rare. Like, you can get it. It's a consumer product. You can get it. Alright? Consumer product. It's not special. It's not special. And it's a Core i7, so you can't even brag about it. I mean, it's a good CPU, but you can get the Threadripper and shit like that. Xeons. You should brag about that shit. My friend has a Xeon.
ready to go, and it supports overclocking. So what having this little installer does for you is it's basically a brace that you can apply right to the CPU and light it up with the triangles that you'll see on the bottom left corners. And this will make it easier for us to apply it to the motherboard and then apply thermal paste and then apply a CPU cooler on top. And we're just going to carefully lean it down into the system and make sure that everything lines up, and we're going to clasp down on it and we'll be good to go. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of...
Not every CPU cooler comes with pre-applied thermal paste, but most of them do if you get a good one. And why is he gonna wipe it off or something like that? And I guess that thermal paste is probably better, but let's see.
Thermal paste already neatly applied in a circle around it, but it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC build.
Wait, the fuck? Did he just say that's usually not enough? That is probably enough. It's probably more than enough, because it's better to have more thermal paste than you need to not have enough. It's probably more than what you need. So, shut the hell up.
Building practice to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
Oh my god. No, he's making a house with thermal paste. I am actually gonna die. He's making a house with thermal paste. Like, for real, dude. Like, that is too many. That is meant for... That is meant for 1, 2... No, that is meant for 1, 2, 3... Probably more than 3 CPUs. That is meant for more than 3 CPUs. That is enough thermal paste for more than 3 CPUs, like, for real. You're only supposed to have a P drop size. And if you have pre-applied thermal paste, words are hard, sorry. Pre-applied thermal paste, you should only use that. Don't add any extra. And if you're gonna do your own thermal paste, wipe off the pre-applied. Alright? Wipe off the pre-applied if you're gonna do better thermal paste, alright?
The final portion is to add the CPU cooler to the top end of the processor. So you're gonna see that there are 4 brackets.
Oh my god! Oh my, did you...
like screws in here with brackets.
Oh my god, look at that. Oh no! Oh, I know what I said about adding more. It's better to add more than less, but that's fucking overboard. No, that's too much. That is way too much. It is going to go in the socket for sure. That is going to go in the socket, and it is going to fuck up your shit.
And holders right here, and they're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it cool. Take thumb screws like this and just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass, side glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all this fun stuff is.
I only seen him plug the 24-pin cable, so I guess he plugged the rest.
So we fully built the PC, everything's put together, and we got to the post screen. So what's next? Glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all this fun stuff is happening. So we fully...
Then... How? How do you fuck up this bad? That's a good-ass case, too. That is a Corsair case, and it looks good. It's a good goddamn case. How? I am actually pissed off. Like, how do you do this? How did your mother... How? Who put you on this? Who put you on the Verge? Who put you on the Verge?
We built the PC, everything's put together, and we got to the post screen. So what's next? Well, you need a USB flash drive with your Windows installation media on it, and of course a license key. So I plugged that up, installed Windows in a couple of minutes, installed a bunch of drivers, and now we have a fully functioning gaming PC ready to run some games. Right now,
fully functional gaming PC ready to run some games for 4 weeks, and then it fucking dies because you fucking suffocated the power supply, god damn it. And probably even if he did do the power supply right, it'd probably die from overheating because of the fucking cable management. And probably the radiator would leak. There's like 3 ways this system would fuck up. Probably 3 of them would happen simultaneously. Jeez, I wouldn't feel bad for this dude if he fucking blew up by this PC. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry, Susan. I'm very sorry.
Now I've got Armor 3 running at maximum settings, native resolution, which...
To be honest, I don't care about the benchmarks right now, so... I lost all my chromosomes from this. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like for my chromosomes and my brain cells, and subscribe. This is Tech Raid. I guess peace. I'm gonna go to the hospital.